Top 3 mistakes escrow agents make when building clientele. Number 3, undervaluing your own internal team. So I'm talking about your escrow assistants. I'm also talking about your title team, meaning the title officers that are behind you, handling all the research, all the mapping, producing the commitment for title insurance, and then later on the final policy as well, and all the curative support in between. And I'm also speaking about your coworkers, people that might have the same job description as you or hold the same position as you. What I'm getting after is with those 3 areas, be sure that you're expressing, that you're recognizing their value they bring to the table for you, and you're expressing appreciation to them. You have to let them know how much you appreciate their efforts, because at the end of the day, you couldn't do what you do without them. Just maybe a quick note on each one of those. Your escrow assistants, they hold down the fort for you while you're out there interfacing with the customer, maybe in person, maybe at events, whatever the case may be. But those assistants, they really handle a lion's share of the detail behind the scenes, and that can be a grueling role. The title team, title officers, that's a research-based situation, and it takes a very highly trained, experienced individual to be successful at that. They're not easy to come by, and I believe escrow officers oftentimes take that for granted, more often than not because they don't really understand what goes into title unless you've been formally trained on that. You cannot do what you do without a good, solid, professional, trained title team. Make sure they know how much you appreciate them. It goes a long ways. And third, your coworkers that hold the same position as you. I talk to people as we recruit. People will call often looking for a position with us here, and I'll ask them, what are you looking to move for? What is it about your current environment that you don't like? Every once in a while, the answer will be along the lines of, we don't have a culture or an environment where I feel like I've got a lot of trust. If I want to go on vacation, I've got to hand my files off to the next escrow officer down the hall to keep them going for me while I'm gone, and I'm nervous the whole time they're going to steal my clients. If you work in an environment like that, there are plenty of companies out there that build solid, productive, collaborative cultures within their organization where you wouldn't need to worry about that. So if you're in a place like that, my advice to you is find a better home, because there's lots of people, lots of companies out there that can do better for you in terms of that support. Number 2, playing someone else's game. We see this all the time. I get calls often from my own internal reps saying, hey, I just heard about this tool that hit the market. I'm not sure if we have anything like this, but I got to have something like this to compete because I'm losing business over this. So and such title company just rolled this out and everybody's flocking to them. And it's sort of a fear-based approach. Like, there's really no evidence yet that we're losing any business over this thing hitting the market. There's really no evidence yet that anybody's going to even like and use that tool yet. It may sound awesome, but is it really going to make the splash, I should say, that they think it's going to? Yet people feel all of a sudden disturbed and nervous, like, since I can't provide something similar, I'm going to lose business. That's usually not the case. If you've got solid relationships built based on customer service and value, the good ones aren't going to leave you just because they hear about another product that hit the market. The first thing at a bare minimum they would do is come and ask you, hey, I saw this, looks cool, do you have anything like this? And at that point, that affords you a conversation with them. But I see so often escrow agents, it's from a very weak sales position that they feel like I have to be able to provide anything and everything that anybody else out there provides. So let me gather these things. And the first time I get in front of a prospective client, I'm going to throw everything on the table just to try to show you how great we are. At the end of the day, it comes across overwhelming and desperate. Those tools should be reserved for you to provide to your customers who've already shown you and proven to you that they have an interest in building a business relationship with you. At that point, you bring those in to further embellish and bolster those existing relationships. Use them as a strategy in your sales to bolster the people that have shown interest in developing in tandem with you. But they're not to be just thrown out there to the wind for anybody and everybody. It doesn't work very well. I see lunches and rounds of golf along the same lines here. People just throw them out as if a free lunch is going to garner a new business relationship. It just doesn't work that way. So let everybody else play that game. They can fight over the people that are looking for the free lunches. That's not the customer you probably want anyway. Number 1, this is first and foremost. This is really important. This took me a long time to learn in my own business. The number 1 biggest challenge that I see in escrow agents building their clientele is a scarcity mindset. What I mean by that is feeling anxious and nervous that they've got to go out and gather every single professional that can produce business for them and bring them in. And if they don't, that somehow they're not going to have enough to provide. That is not the case. And take it from me, it took me years and years to get comfortable with that, because we do work primarily on volume within our industry. The more we get, the better chance we have of finding success. That's how I used to feel. Let me tell you now, the way that I see the industry and in our career, customer service is the number one sales piece that everybody will tell you. But not all customer service is created equal. You can line up 10 different escrow officers and they're going to have 10 different ways of approaching customer service and taking care of a client and communicating throughout a file. And some of them, whether you'd like them to do something a certain way or not, they just can't because they're wired a specific way. Every single one out there is going to have strengths and weaknesses, and every potential client is going to have strengths and weaknesses. The best way to find long-term success where you'll be able to breed strength and loyalty with your clients is to find those people that identify with what you have to offer. So if I had to list it out, in terms of a strategy, I would say, first of all, determine your customer service brand or flair. What is it that you do better than anybody else? What is it that you do because you just believe this is what the market has to have and I can provide it? What is it that naturally exudes out of you as you serve your customers? And build your brand, your personal brand around those strengths. And in the beginning, you have to spend a lot of time out there in the marketplace, just getting your name out. You got to maybe go to events. You've got to support efforts out there amongst your potential customers. You've got to get on social media, whatever your strength is, wherever you want to be known. You got to get out there and spend some time creating some awareness for yourself. Over time, as your name is out there for long enough and it's top of mind for enough people, the scale will start to tip and people will start to come to you. And they're going to recognize who you are and what you're all about. Once you do that, go all in with your style, your brand of customer service, and find people that identify with that same style. And over time, people that identify with that style will end up finding out about you and coming to you. That's the ultimate arrival in terms of career success, in my opinion, in a service-based business. It's individual-based. So go all in on whatever your style is, whatever your brand is. Don't worry about what you're not. Especially sometimes we get this target list of heavy hitters and we feel like, man, we got to go knock these guys down. If I can't sell these customers, then I'm not successful. You got to make sure that the culture fit works. If it doesn't, just move on. Don't even waste your time because it's not going to work long term. If it does fit, now you can start putting some resources behind it and try to sell those styles or those customers. So those would be my 3 items. Don't undervalue your team, don't play someone else's game, and don't think you have to sell every single customer out there. You implement those 3 things in terms of mindset and you're going to knock it out of the park. Good luck.